Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Balkan Sis, the show that's going to help you navigate the massive challenges of life, motherhood, culture, identity, and belonging with more ease, acceptance, joy, and purpose. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every time to listen, learn, heal, and feel inspired. If you do love the podcast, then do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It really does help spread the word. Hi, beautiful Balkan sisters and brothers and fellow awesome Balkan people from all over the world. I'm so excited to start again. This is Balkan Sis 2.0. For some of you who have listened to some of the previous episodes that I had, it was actually with my best friend Franca. She's so bloody awesome. And it was just, look, the time difference was a huge factor. Living just parallel lives. There was just a lot going on for both of us. So I thought it'd be best to just bring on some guests, do some episodes by myself with some wisdom, bring Frankie on when she can make it, when she gets a chance. So I want to thank the people that have already listened, that have already stuck around, that know what Balkan Sis is all about. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. There's going to be some new, fresh episodes that are coming on with some amazing people from all over the world. Balkan men, Balkan women. This is designed for women from a woman. But obviously, if men choose to listen, like, how awesome. So anyway, for anybody who's listening for the first time, I have to reintroduce myself. I'm going to be real and raw and honest. I'm currently in the car recording this because I have a little son. His name is Vito. He is so awesome, but it's virtually impossible for me to do this at home with 2 dogs and a small child and a business, and it's all a lot. So I'm going to be doing a lot of recordings from my car, from the library, wherever I get a chance, at nighttime when he's sleeping. If you're a mum, then you would know what I mean by that. But yeah, without further ado, so I'm Ivana. My previous maiden name was Strbac. Now it's Alfonso. Everybody thinks that I'm Italian, but I'm not. I married a Italian man who obviously grew up in Australia, has Italian heritage, so that's how I got the last name. I never really wanted to change my last name, but here we are. I did it because Strbac living in Australia was obviously very, very, very complicated for the Australians to write and read. So yeah, it was just extra incentive for me to change it. But I am putting it back in wherever I can because I am proud of my last name. I am proud of my heritage. And that's what this podcast is all about, this episode's going to be a lot about me rambling, sort of getting you acquainted with who I am, what I do, what we're about, and the guests that I'll be having on. So, in a nutshell, basically, I was born in former Republic of Yugoslavia. So, I guess now you could call it Bosna, but I was born in a little village called Stranjane. It's near Zenica, not too far away. If you don't know where Zenica is, it's not too far from Sarajevo. If you don't know, go have a look at the map. Look, I don't really consider myself to be, anything really. I always say Balkan because I like to include everybody. Going through the journey that we've been through, for myself as a child refugee and then also along with my family, I know what it's like to feel excluded. I know what it's like to be the odd one out. I know what it's like to be the one that feels like that has no identity. And you don't have to be a refugee to feel this, but I know collectively, the Balkan region is just fraught with so much, passion, with love, with war, with trauma, with so much. We're wonderful people. We're highly traumatized. We're very kind. We're very giving. All of the above. So I guess I just wanted to create this podcast as a way of uniting people together. It's not a me versus you versus us, groups, nationalism, all of that crap. I'm not about that. This is a place that's safe for everyone. Like I said, I know what it's like to be an outcast. I know what it's like to be on the outskirts of society, barely surviving. So that's why I wanted to share my story. And also share other people's stories, how they pulled through hard times, how they created a business, how they're finding the balance between being a mum and being a businesswoman and all these other things, that we are in all of our wonderfulness, and all of our mess. So, it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, and what you're about, what your religion is, whatever. Who cares? You're here. And I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so humbled that you're listening. I've had so many wonderful requests on Instagram from, Balkan women that are from all over the world, so in America, in Sweden, in Germany, in Australia, in England. Like, there's literally listeners from all over the world. There's pretty much been 600 downloads on the previous episodes that were there, which some of them I'll also share. So yeah, I didn't expect it to go, I guess, that well. I purely just did it for myself as a tool to connect with my people, and maintain some sort of culture and some sort of heritage, and also learn new things. Because, since we migrated to Australia at the end of 99, so that was almost maybe like 23, 24 years ago, it's been a difficult journey. It really has. I have to think at the top of my head, when I go right back, because so much has changed. I've grown, I've evolved. I came here when I was almost 12 years old, pre-puberty, hormones, everything, the whole thing. So, life was really tricky for me. It was really complicated for me, as it was for all refugee kids, and as it was for all bridging generations who came after the war, So it doesn't matter what your journey is with the Balkans, if you have that connection, then this is a great place to come, a great resource to learn a lot about yourself and to learn a lot about others. And since I had my son Vitor, who's almost 4 now in December, so I had him in 2018, I really just craved my people and my culture and my heritage and my language. And, we live in a very small coastal town that's called the Gold Coast. It's about an hour away from Brisbane. And really, there's not much Balkan culture here. Up until maybe a few months ago, we only had about 2 shops that sold our produce, that sold our goods. So, obviously Vegeta is everywhere, but, that's sort of like, the picture I'm giving you guys, the perspective. It's not a huge Croatian community here. There is a Croatian club, which I have had a lot of issues with, because of, racism and classism and many other things, and sexism. And I don't stand for injustice. I don't, I'm always rooting for the underdog. I hate shit like that. So I am warning you now, I will swear. That's just my thing. That's how I express myself. I'm passionate. But yeah, I know that you've probably maybe experienced the same. If you were born in former Republic of Yugoslavia and then you had to flee and migrate to somewhere else, or you were born in a different country, then obviously maybe you didn't get to understand your parents, or, maybe you struggled with your relationships and whatnot, or finding your identity, finding where you belong. So I would say that's been the trickiest thing, finding where I belong. Also, after I had my son, which motherhood is going to be a big topic of this podcast, because, it's who we are, it's who I am. And so much is rooted, you know, in memories that I had that are beautiful with my baba, with my grandmother, with my mama, with my sister, and I just wanted to continue that on, because I'm aware that maybe not everyone had that chance or that opportunity, um, to, I guess, mingle in the community, or maybe there wasn't a club around, or, and Balkan is a very broad word. So once again, maybe not everyone is going to agree with it, but that's okay. It's not their space. So, there is a lot of Croatian podcasts. There's a lot of, heaps of other podcasts about different topics and, different cultures. But I wanted to just bring everybody together. So yeah, in a nutshell, who am I? Okay, I got to stick on track, guys. Like I said, my name is Ivana. So I'm 34. I have a beautiful little son. I've been with my husband, Andrew, now for almost 15 years, which seems like a lifetime, especially when you're our age, especially in this era as well, in the era of Tinder and all those other things. And yeah, I live on the Gold Coast. I've been here now for almost sort of the last 23 years. We fled the war. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and yeah, look, I remember a lot. There's a lot that's very painful to remember that still brings tears to my eyes, and I still get quite emotional talking about it. Um, and yeah, so here I go. I'm a crier, guys. I cry a lot. Okay, get used to it. So yeah, we fled our hometown. So a very small village in Bosnia, in the mountains, in the selo, in the village. We had cows, we had goats, we had pigs, we made our own pickled cabbage, kupus, we had our own produce, crops that grew on the farm. We had family nearby. I had my baba who lived upstairs from me, which was just beyond amazing. My dida lived upstairs. I had aunties, I had uncles, that were a huge part of my identity. So yeah, it was a really nice childhood. Obviously, it was also very hard. We actually had a toilet that was outside, that looked like a shupa. It almost looked, I don't know how to say that in English, but like a shed, with a massive hole in it, and that was our toilet. So imagine going to a potty training on that or going out at night time with that. So there's a lot of funny stories about that. And yeah, like just living that rural country life, where, there was a lot of bubbers, a lot of tetas, and, sneaky lollies being given to you here and there, church service, all that stuff. Look, we had Bosnian neighbors, there was Serbs, there was, so obviously you had pockets of villages, but everybody was mixed at that time, and everybody was respectful and everybody was friends from what I remember, and from obviously what my mum also remembers and my parents. So, yeah, look, multi-generational home, auntie and uncle living next door, two cousins. And yeah, there's just so much I remember. And I will also take you back there from the start, in a completely different episode, because that is just a whole episode in itself. It's very much intertwined with, who I am now, and why I do what I do. And yeah, so we fled the war. At that time, it was after Mali Uskrs, which was the Easter. And I remember that morning very, very vividly. And to sort of, I have to skim over parts because, I'm on a time limit, and otherwise this episode's going to go on forever. But long story short, we fled the war, and we managed to escape to Rijeka, where my uncle was going through a rehab facility because he lost his legs in the war. So um, yeah, so we were there for quite a little bit of time, managed to escape there. We managed to get some sort of paperwork that would place us in Germany. Once we went to Germany, we were there for 5 years. So, but when we first got there, we were in a refugee home, like a refugee center, where there was bunk beds, where you stood in a line, you got your food. And I remember we had our first Christmas there, where I got one chocolate Santa wrapped up in cellophane. So I was happy about that. But yeah, so there's photos of that time, and good and bad memories, and yeah, it's a lot of mixed feelings about that time. And shortly after that, we managed to move in with my uncle, who's just awesome, who I actually dreamt about last night, who's just, yeah, saved us. And we lived with him and his German partner at the time, and in a tiny, tiny little apartment. So basically, my family's, I have an older brother, have an older sister, then there's me, and then there's a little brother. So, and then my parents. But my little brother wasn't born until a little bit after. So yeah, there's, I guess it's quite a big family. My grandparents also managed to escape with us. We were in Germany for 5 years, so had to learn German, had to go to school, had to start fresh. A lot of racism at the time. We also had neighbors that were downstairs from us. They were Albanian, so they were in the same situation. And it's when you escape a situation like that, you naturally flock to the same people like you, who are similar. So at that stage, it doesn't even matter who's who and what's what. You're just happy that you get to talk your language to somebody, or that you're understood by somebody who's in a similar situation. So Look, I do apologize in advance. I probably should have put a trigger warning at the beginning because I will be talking about a lot of different topics, discussing a lot of different things. This goes the same for when I have guests. So yeah, just be mindful, obviously, that this will be a topic of discussion. Obviously, being Balkan orientated, you can't avoid it. So yeah, look, I'm a spiritual person. I have faith, whether you call it religion, Catholic, this or that. It's really irrelevant. I believe in God. I, believe in a higher power in whatever shape or form that comes through. I would like to think of myself as a kind person. I don't want to ramble on about about me the whole time, but I guess just to give you an idea of the identity of the person behind this, and this is why we wanted to call it originally me and Frankie, but also I wanted to call it Balkan Sis because, we are sisters. We are sisters and we are, sister and brother. So, it's a family. And we know Balkan culture is very entrenched in the family values. So, yeah, we were in Germany for quite some time and we loved it. We adapted. Very poor, didn't have a home phone, didn't have a car, nothing, living a very bare minimum life. And then eventually, obviously, built ourselves up. I had quite a lot of friends there, and yeah, I was very comfortable there, and it really shaped, who I was to become. But essentially now looking back, to be honest with you, just felt like 7 or 8 years of my life were just a huge gap, so there's a lot of memory losses. There's a lot of gaps in between things that, you just can't connect or is too painful to connect. And then, it comes through in other ways, through dreams or, conversations, or you hear a song and, it reminds you of something. So we didn't want to leave. Unfortunately, we had to. At the time, they were sending refugees back. They deemed it safe. Our house was destroyed. Essentially, we had nothing to go back to. No economy, no schools, no nothing. No nothing. No money in your pocket. You're a refugee going back to your own new country. All the family we had there had fled. Obviously, being such a rural area, living on a mountain, there wasn't many prospects or many future or career opportunities for young people. So yeah, we we couldn't go back. So my father applied 4 times, so once every year, which was a very stressful situation for him and for them to be in, to find themselves with 4 kids, young children and nowhere to go, no roof over their head. And that really, just makes me sad. Now being a parent myself, I couldn't even imagine living through that with my child. So yeah, we managed to get paperwork to come to Australia, which was, a huge moment for us. My parents had to lie and say that we were going on holidays because I actually didn't want to go to Australia. None of us did. We thought, where the fuck is Australia? We hate Australia. My auntie lived here, so we got paperwork and we got pictures and all these things. But so my parents had to lie and say, Ivana, we're just going for a holiday. If we don't like it, we come back. So I threatened to run away. Which is all very normal responses based off, a little person who's only at that time 11 years old or so. And look, and then we came here, we landed here, and it was just like the wild, wild west. It was just so strange, so out of our comfort zone. It just felt like getting a fish from one tank and putting it into another, getting a little fish and putting it in a big ocean. It was just very, very strange. And obviously then had to go to school again, learn the language. There was no English help for me here in the school. And that's actually where I met Frankie, my best friend. I will mention her a lot through these podcasts, through these episodes. And that's where I met her. And she was my saving grace. She was the only person at the time that I knew that spoke our language that could actually help me. Help me to go to the toilet. I didn't know how to, ask for things. And, it was very complicated. It was very hard. There was also a lot of sicknesses, a lot of illness. So I will talk a lot about wellness and bring on guests that can talk about health and wellness and resetting your nervous system. And it is very, mental health orientated and wellness orientated, not in a way of what you should eat, but in a way of how you can take care of yourself, how you can look after yourself. And that is something that us as humans, don't do very well in the modern world, and it's also something that mothers don't do very well because of the massive sacrifices they have to make for their children. So there will be a lot of discussion and a lot of topic around that. So yeah, we came here, and as people say, the rest is history. So that was obviously very long, big gaps. I don't want to leave you hanging, but I will touch on those in future episodes. I'm sort of aiming to do one episode on my own and then another episode with a guest and then so forth. So if there's anything you want to sort of talk about or have me discuss or research, you let me know. Reach out on Instagram. I love to connect with you all. I'm an open portal, an open channel. I love to connect with others. I would like to think of myself as a little connection queen. I love to bring people together. That is my gift. So yeah, look, and to where we are now. So my husband and I, we own a business. We run a business. We're self-employed. Which is very common here in Australia. A lot of people have their own businesses. They run their businesses. Obviously, we used to work for other people as well, but we run it from home. So yeah, it does get a bit chaotic and a bit tricky. Doing everything from home, it has its pluses and its minuses. And throughout this podcast, that's one thing I want to highlight. There's no such thing as good and bad. So when I discuss things about our culture or about Western culture, it's not about what's better or what's worse. What our people are good at or bad at. It's not a competition. I live in duality. So there's some parts of my culture that I enjoy, that I love, and there's other parts that I despise, that I don't enjoy, that I don't believe are part of the culture. So that's sort of where I come from. I know what it's like being made fun of. I know what it's like people being racist towards me, people judging me, making fun of me because of my language or my accent at the time. But my accent has gone completely, I must say. I came here, like I said, I was almost 11 or 12. So over time, it did leave because I had to become a master at learning languages. I had to become a master at fitting in. So that became my mission through life, was to constantly fit in. And after I had my son, I just thought, I don't need to fit in. I'm just going to embrace me wholeheartedly, who I am, warts and all. So that's currently the transition that's happening. And I guess when you come to my Instagram page, and I am building a website as well for myself, that will be my message. That will be my mission. For me, I don't want children to suffer. I don't want parents to suffer. I don't want mothers to suffer. So that will be a huge thing for me in building that message, sharing that message. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast, as a free resource for people to come to and have a listen and find some relatability. Because I know you are living also in a different country. Whether you are still living in, your motherland, that's amazing. A lot of people are moving out of the Balkans. A lot of people are moving back to the Balkans because the last 2.5 years, it has really changed things for everybody. So, I think we're all severely burnt out. We're all just stressed out. We're all just trying to, ground ourselves and find our footing. And I do want to share methods and things that work for me, and also from our guests, that can help you feel a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter, a little bit happier, through different means. So yeah, thank you for being here. I'm a bit rusty. I haven't come on and talked in a while. I've been very silent. I was in a bit of a funk. My dog is very sick now. My other dog is sick, and then we all got sick as well. So life just gets like that sometimes, and that's okay. That's okay. When we don't have to be perfect and productive all the time. So that's why in the trailer I did mention that this podcast is about overcoming the massive challenges of life, about motherhood. It's about culture. It's about identity. It's about finding a sense of belonging. So that you can find a life, of acceptance, ease, and joy and purpose. If you like it and you love it and you want to be part of it, you want to be part of the mission and the message, hit subscribe. It really does help spread the word. we're all just here to learn and to heal and to feel inspired. And I hope that I can do that for you. I hope the guests I bring on can do that for you. And yeah, if you want to connect, come online, come on Instagram. Just trying to simplify my life so that I don't have channels everywhere. I did have a YouTube, I did have a Facebook, all over the place. And I'm just trying to declutter my mind, purify my heart and just simplify my life. And I know so many of you are trying to do the same. So, yeah, look, I don't want to ramble too much. Haven't recorded in a little while, as probably you can tell. I'm always going to be open. I'm always going to be honest. I'm always going to be raw. There's no sugarcoating. There's no fake imagery here. What you see is what you get. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for being my sister, my friend. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. So reach out. We can have a chat. But I think I've gone through the missions and the what, when, how, when, and why this project has come about and how it's been born and where it's going. And yeah, I would, love to use my experience and my passion and everything that I've been through and apply it to any form of work that I do. And I have been helping people and mentoring people and counseling people along the way, through many, many years. So that is something that I am doing more of. I definitely want to study counseling. That is definitely my mission, possibly even psychology. So that's something that's of huge, huge interest to me. Hence this podcast, and sharing and learning and growth and healing. So yeah, I'm hoping that you get something from it, you get something out of it. And I do want to share a Instagram message from a listener, Mia, who is just beautiful. I'm so glad she reached out, and I'm glad I saw it. It went to my others folder, so I just missed it. But she basically is from America, and she said, "Hi, my name is Mia. I wanted to reach out and say that I love your podcast. It's been such a breath of fresh air. I refuged to the US in 1996, and growing up, I felt like I was too foreign for people here and too American for people in Bosnia. For years, I longed to belong, and I always looked for my people who had a similar background to me." So, yeah, look, she said the conversations you're having on the podcast, the way you hold people up, it's so beautiful. And yeah, she finds a lot of similarities and yet differences in our culture. But she says that it's a perfect match and that the podcast shows inspirational and refreshing. So yeah, thank you, Mia, for coming on Instagram and sharing that with me. So I hope, you feel the same. And I'm looking forward to coming on again. I better stop now. I have to go see my son. It's almost the end of the day. If there's anything that I missed, just flag it. Let me know. Let's connect. And once again, hvala vam od srca. Hvala vam što ste tu. I will use a lot of mixed language because that's just natural. I think when you migrate to the Western world, you mix a lot of your languages. So please reach out. Let me know where you're from, who you are, what you're about. Send me any voice notes as well, any topics you want to discuss or touch on. And yeah, I'm really grateful and I'm really blessed and I'm really humbled that I get to create, really impactful work and a legacy for my son so that one day he can listen to this. And, my nieces and nephews can listen to this. The aim is to write a book one day about my life, about our life and being a child refugee, possibly even write for kids. So there's a lot of aspirations there, a lot of life left in me, a lot of fight left in me. And I hope that my son, can look back on my legacy and things that I've created and the kindness I've shared and think like, hey, that's my fucking mummy. That's awesome. So that's my intention behind this. And I guess we're all just doing our best. I want you to have a takeaway message today. So whether you're in the car, whether you're at home, or you're cooking or whatever you're doing, or even Selma, which is an amazing psychiatrist. She's on Instagram. She's amazing. Balkan Mama Therapy. Shout out to her. She was actually in the dentist chair the other day. She was listening to an episode. So no matter where you are, the takeaway message from me to you today is for you. I want you to be kind to yourself. So I have to pause in between that, because when life gets hard and things get hard, I don't want you to beat yourself up. I don't want you to kick yourself when you're down. There's already enough cruel people in the world who do that to others, and life already gets so heavy and so hard. So today, I want you to be kind to somebody else, and especially to yourself. I want you to nurture yourself, take a deep breath, have a glass of water, simplify, reset, refresh, and start from scratch. Start again. So that's my message for you today. Don't forget about yourself, especially if you're a mum. I beg you, I urge you, please don't forget about yourself. You're beautiful, you're important, you're kind, you're needed, you're wanted. You have a purpose on this world. God has plans for you. Don't give up, and just be kind. Do something nice for yourself today. Just one thing, something simple. So I'm going to check in on you on the next episode and make sure that you've done that. I look forward to sharing more wisdom from me and from my guests. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys soon again. Ciao. Bye. Mwah. So that was the episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And as ever, if you did, please consider sharing it with your loved ones and leaving me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It really does make a difference to the number of Balkan sisters that we can reach with the brilliant wisdom that my guests and I share. Thanks for being here. I do widzenia.